which means I think we can start. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening around the world. My name is Doug Bruhnke, and I couldn't stop. Let's see. We must start by introducing Nagi Moubarak, who is the founder and CEO of Outerpond. Nagi, what time is it there?
Well, basically it's 2:05 a.m. in Beirut, and it's great joining because I'm really interested to hear what you guys can do for Lebanon. You have such an esteemed audience, and the interaction, I'm sure, is going to be extremely exciting.
Thank you.
Would you like to explain a little bit about Outerpond, just in case you fall asleep during the meeting?
No, I'm not going to fall asleep. No, I've taken enough coffee just to attend. Well, basically, Outerpond is a private initiative. It's a B2B platform that has been launched a year ago. And it puts Lebanese companies in touch with foreign-based companies. Basically, it's an outsourcing platform, investment platform, and partnership platform. And lately, we were awarded a USAID grant. So next year is going to be a very exciting time. We're trying to connect Lebanese businesses with foreign-based businesses in terms of developing the potential between Lebanon and global markets.
Congratulations. Does anybody have any questions for Nagi before? Is anybody familiar with Outerpond?
Yes, can we meet after our return back?
Yes, absolutely. With pleasure.
Yeah, are you actually in Beirut right now?
Until September 5, yes.
Return back at September 5.
Well, I'm going away for a few weeks, but I'll be back by the end of September. So I'm pretty sure we'll have room to meet.
Okay. What's his last name?
Moubarak, Nagi Moubarak.
Can we have his phone number, email?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, Doug will provide you everything.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
With no fee associated with it, it's free. Or you're a very wealthy and very special person. It's okay if we dispensed your contact information, right, Nagi?
Absolutely. As long as it comes from you, there's no problem whatsoever.
Very good. I think I'd like to recognize Kristin Allen. So have you already known each other?
Yes.
Okay. So could you make some opening comments, perhaps?
Sure. Hello, everyone joining online. Thank you so much for being here, and those from the Global Chamber that are here in person. Thank you so much. My name is Kristin Allen. I am the Executive Director at Global Ties Arizona. Global Ties Arizona is the implementing organization of the U.S. Department of State's International Visitor Leadership Program, of which our esteemed delegates today are a part of, and we're so very privileged to have them here with us in Phoenix. They have had quite a busy program since their arrival on Thursday. I would like to just recognize everyone here by name, and I would like to apologize in advance if I do pronounce your name wrong. I was trying to listen as well as I could to pronunciation online today, and please feel free to correct me so that I can learn. But I would like to introduce our IVLP, International Visitor Leadership Program delegates. Today we have with us Mr. Mohammed Abu Haider, Director General of the Ministry of Economy and Trade of Lebanon. We have with us Ms. Zaina El Laban, Senior Research Analyst with Bank Audi. We also have Ms. Farah El Nalawi, Senior Research Analyst with Bank Audi. We have Ms. Rana El Sayed Al Hayas, Assistant General Director and Consultant, Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Agriculture, can't even speak in English right now, Saida and South Lebanon, Mr. Dani Gideon, Director General of the Ministry of Industry of Lebanon, Mr. Youssef Geha. The pronunciation I found was not correct then. Geha. General Director, Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Agricultural in Saleh and the Bekaa region. and Ms. Linda Sultan, Director of Businesses, Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Agriculture for Tripoli and North Lebanon. Thank you so much for joining us in Arizona. We are so pleased to have you. Thank you also to Doug Bruhnke of the Global Chamber for bringing us together today to have this informal conversation of how we can grow business and relationships together from Phoenix and other parts of Arizona to Lebanon. And I would be remiss to not recognize Dr. Ayoub, our honorary consul of Lebanon to Arizona. Thank you so much for joining us today. Very, very pleased that you could be here. The IVLP is a prestigious program of the Department of State. These leaders before you are hand-selected by our U.S. Embassy. They are brought here to essentially form important diplomatic, business, and other types of relationships with our nation. So these are very important steps that our country is taking in order to promote diplomacy and friendship abroad. We are part of the largest and oldest citizen diplomacy network here in the United States. And thank you so much for being a part of that. Thank you, Doug, again, for bringing us together today.
Our pleasure. I'd like to introduce some of our members that are here with Global Chamber. And I think probably first we should introduce our honorary consul for Lebanon, Dr. George Ayoub. Have you already met this group prior today?
I just did. Hello.
Just did in the main forum. Do you mind introducing yourself and maybe explain a little bit about what you do here?
For sure. My name is Dr. George Ayoub, and I've been appointed the honorary consul of Lebanon in Arizona in 2017. And officially, I think we got accepted by the State Department, I think in 2019. This is where we opened the honorary consulate right here, and we're a member of the Consular Corp in Arizona, where I include the honorary member, Mr. Hank Marshall. I know I've known Mr. Marshall for a few years. We started working together when we did the sister city between Phoenix and Juni. That was like maybe 10 years ago, or time flies for sure. In Phoenix, Arizona, we have very vibrant community. We have over 40,000 people, Lebanese or Lebanese descendant, you know.
Wow.
A lot of businesses in Phoenix, Arizona, started by Lebanese people that immigrated in the late 1880s. What I do, basically as an honorary consul, a lot of paperwork, you know, we do a lot of power of attorney, we do a lot of passport renewal, we do a lot of economic ties between here and Lebanon. And we have good relationship with the mayor, congressmen, and all the organization right here in Phoenix, Arizona. So I'd like to welcome you. I think this is definitely, it's an honor to have you all here. And as an honorary consul, whatever I can do to help you to connect with the organization or with the Lebanese people and businesses, I'm at your disposal.
Thank you very much. I'd like to now turn to Hank Marshall, who's the Global Chamber Phoenix Advisory Board Chair. And then I'm going to go to Tina next. So Hank actually has been the head of international economic development for the city of Phoenix for a number of years. And recently he's joined a company that is a water purification and also a variety of chemical type products sold around the world. And so Hank, tell us a little bit about that, what you're doing. And he's also been for over 20 years, the honorary consul for the UK here in Arizona.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. Very kind to meet you. Welcome to Phoenix. For all of you, the first visit?
Yes.
Okay, let's make it, let's hope it's not the last. You have a wonderful representative for you in the state. Dr. Ayoub is a very well-liked, very connected, and very esteemed member of our community. So, and then if he can't help you out, come talk to me. We're delighted that you're here. I hope it becomes evident that trade relationships matter. Sorry, it's trying to make sure I can speak to everybody here. I think you brought the right people to have the kind of productive discussions that we need to have here. Like Doug, I'm an engineer by trade, which is funny, an engineer working in government. I'm sad to report that the engineer couldn't fix government, which is why I'm back in the private sector. But I spent last 18 years of my private engineering life running global engineering for Pfizer in New Jersey. And Pfizer made the news the last several years for obvious reasons. Its fight against COVID. Our community here has got very, very capable people, qualified people that you'll hear more about. We're eager to commit to connect. We did try and set up a sister city with June. I hope we do get that set up in the future. I know we made a hell of an effort at that. I've got my business cards I'd like to give you before you leave. If I can help in any way, and I mean that sincerely, in any way. Doug has created a great group here. I'm glad you're here. I could talk all day, but I won't. Someone else here has got some words to share, so I'll make sure you get to hear from Tina. But thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Tina Sweis is a entrepreneur's entrepreneur. She's from Jordan, and she's come to the U.S. because of some health issues with her son that she has resolved. And one of the things that's so admirable about Tina is not only has she been such a leader in entrepreneurial ventures, but she's also been a leader in her family, and she's been a leader here at Global Chamber Phoenix chapter. So Tina, thank you for joining us today. You're always juggling a million and one things.
That's what I'm supposed to, right?
And the good news is you're accomplishing so much. So thank you for all that you do.
Thank you for the introduction. أول شيء أهلا وسهلا فيكم بأريزونا وتأسفين على الشوق بس مش دايما هيك. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Tina. My Arabic name is Fatima Swiss. I'm Jordanian. I've worked in public policy. I've worked as an advisor for youth policy for the Prime Minister's office in Jordan. And I would say the gist of my career has been in reform and creating opportunities for youth. I tried to make every single handshake that's done in government and private sector at least create 50 to 100 jobs for qualified Jordanians and Arab youth in the Middle East. I focus my work on education right now, on health tech, advancing in virtual reality and health tech, patient engagements and things like that. However, I've always had the passion in connecting the dots, connecting the world, and this is the role that I'm proud to play at the Global Chamber. And also, I'm very proud to also speak about Outerpond. Nagi is here because it's basically the gist of what I believe in, is bringing the worlds. There's parallel worlds all the time. And what opportunities we have here in Phoenix, in the US, can be great for, I would always say, the amazing talents in Lebanon, because in all the youth that I've worked with in all the Arab world, they're like the creme de la creme in the skill sets, in the vision, and in the hard work that they put. It's very, of course, sad what's going on right now in Lebanon. I've worked previously with the King Hussein Cancer Foundation as one of my clients to also help get cancer medication from pharmaceutical companies here into Lebanon, and collaborate with governments, our government in Jordan, and make sure it's delivered the right way through the army. I'm probably very close in knowing, the industries and also the struggle, but opening an Outerpond opportunities, connecting with Global Chamber, with sister cities, is probably going to be the most promising way to revive an economy that's struggling that much. I'd like to welcome you all and offer, my help if you need any advice and guidance here. أهلا وسهلا.
Thank you. Tina has also been a leader on women entrepreneurial ventures, and you're actually quite active in that area.
Yes. Well, similar to the same efforts is trying to also give opportunities for women to be part of chambers, to promote their businesses, connect women in science with women in entrepreneurship. So we've created a platform called Women in Business Arabia that connect almost 44,000 members right now in training and providing scholarships and providing venture capital from women for women. So, and of course, Global Chambers Women in Leadership. That's been a highlight over the past 2 years.
Fantastic. So for the first several people that have spoken, do you have any questions so far? We have a few more people to introduce. Any questions so far? Okay, very good. I'd like to mention, because Tina kind of brought the topic up, and that is Global Chambers built off of connections. So that was something, I'm retired. I work for a DuPont company, a big chemical company. I'm a chemical engineer. I've spent most of my career in Asia. And when I retired, I started doing some consulting projects, and I recognized that two things. One is global business is good for business people. It's good to have a global profile because it distributes risk. It's risky, but it's also distributes risk in the sense of a portfolio process of if one country is struggling, another country is probably doing pretty good. So having business in multiple countries is a good thing. The problem is it's hard. It's harder than just opening up a shop and selling something on a corner. There's more complexity. So you have to be connected. You have to have those connections to build an international business. So I felt like there needed to be something different in the world. So I came up with the idea for the Global Chamber while I was driving between San Diego and Phoenix. It's about a 6-hour drive, and there's not much in between. It's mostly just desert. And so while I was driving, I came up with this crazy idea that if I could find someone everywhere in every city that was better and smarter than me, that would be a cool network to have. That would help those people grow their international business. And so I investigated it a little bit, talked to people like Hank and Tina. I think we even knew each other in those days. And I said, despite them saying, don't do it, it's too crazy. I'm a crazy New Yorker. I'm from New York originally, and I thought, you know what? I think somebody's got to do this. So that's almost 8 years ago, we started Global Chamber, and we've been building out, and now over 300 chapters, and we have 525 to build out. I mentioned about connections. From Hank, probably, I met Tina. From Tina, I met Nagi. And then the next step is meeting other people, right? So you never know how these connections happen, but they happen, and it's wonderful. I'm not sure how. I think it might have been through sister cities, actually, Phoenix sister cities, that I met a young man named Luis Nuñez, who became ultimately our first executive director for Global Chamber Hermosillo, Mexico. So we had, in our early days, a very amazing launch. We launched Phoenix, Tucson, Salt Lake City, and I think Hermosillo was in the first 10 chapters that we launched. So I actually went down to Hermosillo, Mexico. It's only about, I've heard various statements. Some people say it's only a 6-hour drive, but it took, I think, about 10 hours for the old bus that I was in. But I think it's probably, what, 8 hours? Have you ever done the drive? So I go down there, great launch, very successful. And Luis, the young man who started Global Chamber there, said, hey, I want you to come and meet my parents. Let's go out to dinner. So I met Dr. Luis Nuñez, who is here. And he has been an executive in Mexico City. He's been an executive for the state of Sonora. He's now head of tourism for the state of Sonora. And he's also an entrepreneur, and he's working on entrepreneurial ventures. And so as a leader in Mexico, I'd love to have Dr. Nuñez explain a little bit about what's going on in Mexico and anything else you'd like to share.
Thank you. Used to be Secretary of Tourism in Sonora, Mexico, south border, and represented the Mexican Secretary of Economy for many years in Sonora. Right now, we have a consulting firm working and focusing in bringing companies from Mexico into the U.S. That's why we came to visit and he has a lot of connections to do that. Many companies are suffering in Mexico because all the problems we have over there, and they want to migrate, and the U.S. is a new place for most of these companies. So we are happy to be here. This is Guillermo, my son. He's a part of the group. Thank you.
Would you also like to introduce yourself?
Well, my name is Guillermo Nuñez. I'm super grateful to be here, to make connections with all of you. Thank you so much. And welcome. We're here to expand.
So are you the brother of?
Yes, I'm Luis's brother.
So the young man who started our chapter, he subsequently went actually, I think, to college, right, in Guadalajara. He got an advanced degree, and he's now a startup. He's running a variety of startups in Boston.
Sure.
So congratulations on that. And we subsequently replaced Sweis with a fellow named Kristin, who I think was planning maybe to be here, but he didn't make. Oh, he's coming for our next event on Wednesday. That's right. So anybody else from Global Chamber would like to introduce themselves? Anybody online that would like to introduce? I think Diana and Karen are there. Karen.
Doug, it's Karen Bodish, Bank of America. I'm on the advisory council, and Doug has friends all over the world. So whoever is Doug's friend is my friend, and we welcome you, and I'm happy to listen to the conversation.
Thanks, Karen.
And my name is Diana White. I'm also on the Global Chamber Advisory Board, and I'm just going to say ditto to everything Karen just said.
Very good. So I think that's the group that's here. And what would you like to do next?
Do you want to maybe give everybody an opportunity to reintroduce themselves and share a little bit about what you might want to get out of today's gathering, or any maybe questions from any of the meetings that haven't been answered?
One thing I want to emphasize, to build on what Kristin said, is that Global Chamber is all about just practical help to grow business. So we talked about connections, how important they are, but they're only important because they lead to something. Sometimes they're dead ends, but hopefully, if they're done strategically, they'll end up into something that's good. And from a business perspective, we're always looking for connections that grow business, and that's what. So if you have some specific opportunities on the business side, certain areas of interest, you'll let us know, and let's connect after. We'll of course share all of our information as well. If it's a nonprofit or another initiative, please let us know. And I think I reminded myself also of something I did want to mention. I mentioned about what really drove me to start Global Chamber was to grow business, in the belief that if more people would get involved with international business, they would be more successful. But one of my experiences over actually 35 and a half years of doing international business is that when you do international business, you become a very good global citizen. You certainly have the opportunity to do that. You can talk to people, you listen, you negotiate, you mediate, you find ways to get along for the long term. If you don't, and if you're angry and you argue, that's not very sustainable. So my belief is, and has always been, certainly in the last 5 to 10 years, that the more people that are exposed to global business and the more people do global business, the better the world becomes in the long run. And so we started an initiative this year called Global is Good, meaning that we'd like to encourage more people to get involved, not just in their local community, but in other communities within their country and other communities around the world, because they'll need to develop those skills. And those skills, I think, are very important. So who would like to start from your side?
Okay, thank you for receiving us. I'm Danny Jillian, DG of the Ministry of Industry in Lebanon since 2010. Before that, I was controller in Civil Service Board, which is a control body in Lebanon for 17 years. We thank the Department of State for this program and all the team, which really they are very, very helpful and thanks. But I will be, maybe after the presentation, maybe we can discuss a little bit about this program. I have a question. I don't know if it's now or after a while. About global. What are the criteria to be member, for example, and do you have your financing affairs and activities are auto-financing, or do you have any kind of assistance from this?
So most of what Global Chamber certainly was started by was to support exporting. And so the business model is that if someone is interested in exporting, they become a member, and that brings in both membership and sponsorship opportunities. So the business model of Global Chamber is we're financed by members who want to grow their business. We then find these people that are better and smarter than me around the world in different places, like Nagi in Beirut, or other people. Everybody within this room, certainly within Global Chamber, is better and smarter than me within Phoenix. But we try to find those people that are very well connected in New York and San Francisco and Tokyo. And we did find actually 2 people in Moscow, and one of them went to Delhi and the other one went to Miami. So that we put Russia on hold for a while, but we did start up Ukraine because of all of that kind of stuff. The world creates uncertainty and you have to be flexible. So that's a little bit about, maybe partially at least, answering your question.
We hope we'll have really a fruitful relationship with you and through Global, but we'll discuss that.
We did have one Global Chamber Beirut meeting. We don't have like a key leader who's on the ground there, but we do have Nagi as a partner. And so Nagi was very instrumental in that first meeting. We actually had 6 Lebanese companies present their exporting, a furniture company and a variety of other 6, a technology company and a variety of companies. So ultimately, those will be the kinds of companies that we're going to be interested in working with in Lebanon, the ones that want to grow their profile in other countries. So we look forward to the opportunity.
You know, just a few phrases also. My friend, my colleague, Mohammed and I, as a civil servants, we don't, you know, in Lebanon, our ministries, the public sector doesn't own any kind of facilities or factories or whatever. So, but it's our mission, our job, our duties to help and support all kind of our productive sectors in Lebanon. So I think it's a good opportunity to have such a relationship and contacts.
Fantastic. You also reminded me that trade works both ways. And so ultimately what I'd love to see in my lifetime is more open markets into Lebanon, that the market itself will be more open for companies to feel good and better about investing in Lebanon, to be able to provide products and services to the industrial sector and also to healthcare and to the consumers, et cetera. So let's see if we can work on that.
So just relating to this subject where exporting goes both ways, trade goes both ways. I know we discussed with when Mayor Greg Stanton was there before Mayor Gallego took over. One of the things is when we're trading from Lebanon to here, is there like a program where we can see a like incentive tax-free program? I know we talked about it before, even when you were there, Hank, where like we can bring products from there where there are incentives to bring people here from Lebanon. I don't know if this is something related to what you guys do or.
We don't typically get into the political side, but we know important people like Hank who have been involved in the government. We have an event, for instance, in 2 days that is the International State of the Metro, where we have cities in the state and local regional leaders getting together. It's important to have business talking to government, right? Because hopefully government is making progress to support business and people within the community. That was, I think, what Hank was somewhat sarcastically remarking. He's a private industry person. He went to the city of Phoenix, and he, as I think probably all of us can say, government typically works a little bit slower than business everywhere in the world. At least my own experience, and I'm thinking in Asia, certainly, typically that's the case. Hank found that to be the city of Phoenix, so he's made a lot of progress. And how would you characterize that?
I mean, I have to be very respectful of the fact that I think government serves a purpose. It does. And Mayor Stanton was the mayor who asked me to lead the private sector to come in to give government a maybe some business DNA. That how could the government think more like business? How could it be results oriented? How could it have goals beyond the ones that government traditionally has and be more aligned with business? I can say in the 10 years that I was there, I worked for 4 different mayors. And depending on who the mayor was, that there was either an appetite to advance that or if there wasn't. It varied on who the person was. So I found it very rewarding. I didn't think, at least I didn't know what I was getting into. But I think my effectiveness, now that I'm back out in the real world, as I call it, I think my effectiveness is enhanced. I can get more done. But I think you pose an interesting question. I think how can we incent or how can we foster an exchange? I mean, there's a wonderful family, Lebanese family here in town. I know you know them, the Malkouns, and they've got a very
1980s, they moved here, 4th generation.
Wow.
And the daughter and the son have created a very vibrant food company here. And
Peanut butter.
a peanut butter company here. But I mean, I think they'd be a great connection. I think if you want an example of how opportunity is here to be had, and how can we, as Doug has said multiple times, it's about the connection. You can live here 10 years and get nowhere, or you can be here for a week and meet the right people. You short circuit the process, you get the introductions, and that's the beauty of the global chamber. And the fact that people show up to meet visiting people, take the time. So I think you will find that, how many of you, let me take a step back. How big do you think Phoenix is in the scheme of the United States? Biggest city, 10th, 12th? 5th. 5th. Does that make any sense to you?
For sure.
Okay, I would have said no. But I mean, it defies logic, a state that is 100 years old. Okay? In your part of the world, 100 years old, our history is this big here. Okay? In 1950, there were 100,000 people living in this state. Okay? Wrap your head around that. The state has gone from there to here in a little over 50 years. Everybody that's in Arizona pretty much has come from somewhere else. What makes the state very unique is that we have consciously come here to create a life, to create a business, to effectively do something here that maybe we couldn't do in any other state. So the beauty of Arizona, unlike maybe a New York, a Chicago, a San Francisco, that has hundreds of years of being a maritime city, being on a coast, having hundreds of years of legacy. We don't. We're like the teenager Arizona is this teenager in the United States. The beauty of that is the teenager, I think, is growing quickly. What's that?
Fresh blood.
Fresh blood, but also not encumbered by old thinking. You know, you talk to an adult at times, they don't listen. I've already formed an opinion. Here, it's radically different. You know, we have a saying, find a way to say yes. That's pretty interesting attitude. How do I find a way to say yes?
There's also, and being from New York, you see this in New York or Boston. It seems like the further you get away from the East Coast, the more open people typically are, because the ones that landed on the East Coast and actually stayed there, I mean, Americans like we cross the ocean, right? So there's at least some adventure. But the ones that stayed there, they kind of got a little gnarly, a little bit older thinking. And so when you do business in Boston, let's say, it's like, well, tell me about your grandparents and tell me about, you know, it's like, nobody ever asks that here, right? It's like, you know, hey, what idea do you have? And so you're much more accepted because everybody is from somewhere else. And I think that's the point that Hank is bringing. I love New York. I love to visit New York, but I could never live there anymore. It's just like, it's too old thinking, generally, you know, unless you're like maybe in a high-tech world. Silicon Valley has a little bit of that as well, where your ideas, whatever idea you have, gets elevated without really any predisposition, or with some predisposition, because it's like, well, who's financing you? Where are you getting the money? You gotta be connected to the money in Silicon Valley. But if you've got a good idea and you can kind of pull people together, you can make it happen. So I think California, the Bay Area, and Arizona are somewhat unique in that. What do you think, Tina?
No, I'm gonna make a few comments to answer some of your questions that I sensed. From my experience working with government, I feel the structure of governments, ministries, and trade and economy, the way it is in Lebanon, probably it is similar to the setup that we had in Jordan. One thing, because I'm really hands-on, digging into it. One thing I feel like would show Phoenix's 100 years going really fast is also there has been, from the get-go, from day one, there has been public-private partnerships right away. So the incentives that you're talking about are led here by cities, they're led by mayors, they're led by public-private partnerships and institutes, and in every industry you can think of that attracted all of the neighboring companies to come and invest, family startups to come and invest. How does that relate to Lebanon? One thing that I always say, and I've probably mentioned that in Outerpond before, is right now, I feel what Lebanon needs is really a phoenix rising from the ashes. And the government's representation, your hard work, your expert know-how. So as much as we say, yes, we would like to collaborate, if we have, let's say, a profile of the situation right now, what are the companies that need to expand to markets? What are the products that you can give? And go in detail in that, of course, because this way you can compare the markets. We have members here that would say, you know what, we want raw material, we want to outsource employees. It depends on what's your strongest sector right now, and what is the sector that's really struggling that can benefit from something that's really booming in Arizona. And probably Doug and I talked about creating country profiles into the global chamber that show a needs assessment, the current right now of what is needed, and then strategizing visions in the future. And those would blossom into also public-private partnerships where you have investors, you would have collaborations where, from my experience in Jordan, we created something called the Jordan Investment Board, which creates a one-stop shop that is from all of the representation of the government, but to the private sector, so that the private sector does not feel, drained or depleted when they want to do that agreement, that they want to do that export. You're the expert know-how in making it easier on your side. We know what the need is, and then what, let's say, Arizona can make easier for expanding markets. I feel like there's so many startups that are struggling in Lebanon right now, and they're amazing startups. They've gotten their investments. they work on initiatives with the government as well. And they can benefit from expert know-how here. They can benefit from the fresh blood that we have. We can also benefit from the perspective, of the factories that have been, sitting in idle. You have warehouses, you have all of the potential that companies in Arizona would be very interested in. And this is my perspective on setting, like, let's say, baby steps to create an opportunity for both sides.
And just to, on her point of view, like brain power, like I know few companies right here and can talk about it more, where we're hiring people in Arizona. Like for example, they have computer science major. So we're paying them fresh dollars. I'm connecting them from here, from companies in Arizona. They're working from Lebanon. The only issue has been like electricity and internet, but we pay them fresh dollars so they get the best internet. They have the best electricity and they make fresh dollars. So I think I can connect you with some companies like this, but this is just an example. Another example, Bashers. I don't know Bashers. I don't know Basher. They immigrated here in the late 1880s. They have like supermarkets. They have over like maybe 200-300 stores. They have like Bashers. They have AJ's. They have food cities. So you can bring like Lebanese products, wine. I mean, I buy like Sara, for example. I go on purpose every time just to support Lebanese business. This is just an example of like few things she's talking about.
Especially post-pandemic, and especially Hank knows the huge shortage of manpower, employees in healthcare, and in technology companies as well. So there are several opportunities. Also, things that stopped for students. For example, I would also talk about ASU and Thunderbird. Things that stopped for students, and there are opportunities for them to also come in Arizona. We have a huge number of Arab students that come to ASU for continued education. So it's bridging the opportunities together so that making it as easy to transition and rise from the ashes for Lebanese people.
Okay, so a couple just quick clarifications. You're going to go to Pittsburgh, I think you said, and then Detroit, and then are you going to New York as well? Okay. So I don't want to slight those areas because Global Chamber is 525 chapters. I used to live in Detroit, and there's a very vibrant regeneration going on in Detroit that I'm really excited by. Pittsburgh, similarly, what it was 50 years ago was a disaster waiting to happen, which it did happen, but it's also been reborn. New York is amazing, is an extraordinary place and also continues to revitalize. So Phoenix is great. I think there's that dynamic within Arizona that we talked about, and each one of those areas has hubs that are really interesting. So I wanted to clarify that. And the second thing is, I don't think I was very clear on this. This is Global Chamber's world headquarters right here. We're in Thunderbird, and I don't know if we described Thunderbird yet. Did we? So Thunderbird is 75-year-old university. It was actually used to be in Glendale, Arizona. And I think it used to be initially a flight school to teach pilots how to fly during World War II or sometime around that. So it started, and then when the war ended, they transitioned into teaching about global business ultimately, and it became a top global business university around the world. It went through a transition starting about 5 or 6 years ago, maybe, where they moved downtown temporarily, and they were then worked out an alignment with Arizona State University, and this building was the result of that, a rejuvenation of the financing of Thunderbird and this building. The CEO, who you may meet tonight, I don't know, he might be up at the pub, I don't know, maybe not, is Sanjeev Kagram. He's an Indian descent Ugandan refugee who left during the Idi Amin years and is someone who is spent a lot of his life in Palo Alto, so in Silicon Valley. So he has a very entrepreneurial a financing startup mentality, and he's also revitalized through his leadership to grow and to be vital and to be quite amazing. So you'll see some of the building today. About maybe a year ago, he invited us, Global Chamber, to be part of Thunderbird. It always was an inspiration for me because I always loved the mentality of all the international students. I wanted to create that in a Chamber of Commerce. And so there's a natural synergy between Global Chamber and Thunderbird, and we're here. I live in Menlo Park, California, and here in Scottsdale, which is down the street. So I split time, but the headquarters is here. Sorry to interrupt, Mohammed.
Thank you. Allow me first, for sure, to appreciate your welcoming, your hospitality, and for sure, always a pleasure to be with the colleagues, and in the same time with some of our honorary consul and Mr. Nagi. I would like, first of all, to give you like in a holistic view the economic situation in Lebanon, then to go through details what our consul as representative of the Ministry of Economy and Trade, what I would like to say, what I need and what can we do. And it's considered like a brainstorming session. So at the end, we can think aloud to find solutions based on a proper action plan. I mean, a proper action plan is to go and to move forward in a quick wins. This is one. Second, to establish a proper action plan that it could be like a solid infrastructure for both countries. Lebanon, first of all, it's a good opportunity to be in Phoenix, and in the same time, one of the big universities in the Middle East, American University of Beirut, founded in 1866 by Mr. Bliss, who is from Phoenix. So this is first of all to say that there is a passion to the United States and to this state, and this is a good opportunity to mention it first of all. We have a lot of leaders in the old GCC, even Levant, who were graduated from American University of Beirut through the last years. And this is what I knew. It's just to mention that we had already a fruitful cooperation on education and sector. Then, second, on health sector, since one of the biggest hospital in Lebanon, it's in affiliation with Johns Hopkins University in Lebanon. Once you have a proper education system, and once you have a proper health system, it means you are on the safe side, despite of the whole economic situation, because you're investing in population, you're investing in a good educated population, and this is now our threat. If we are establishing our strategic plan, for sure we have to start from a SWOT analysis. Our SWOT now is based on a good opportunities, our talent, our Lebanese population, this capacity, this talent that, with my full respect to a lot of countries, maybe it's one of the pioneers with others. So this is one. Second, in the same time, Lebanon in the Middle East, for sure. Unfortunately, since maybe I was born in 1981, till now, we faced a lot of war, civil war, and then some, and lately, sorry, the biggest blast maybe in the region, and the third one, it was the blast of 4th of August, with over than 200 martyrs and even 3,000 injured. In the same time, economic crisis, blast, then the attack or the war between Russia and Ukraine, and its effect of the supply chain of the food security issues. So this is just to go from macro to micro and then to fix our plan. Now, Lebanon, despite all of it, we believe that this small country, regardless of the big affection or downgrading on economic and devaluation of the currency, it could be upgrading once there is a reforms. Once we will keep on negotiation with the IMF, and because we believe that the IMF program now, it's priority for all of us, especially during the situation. And first, for sure, this is a small country since 1991 is based on entire business model. We need to move to a productive model. I mean, we have to support industry, agriculture, and for sure the technology. And we are one of the best also in the country, in the region, especially for some incubators in Lebanon, that they can sell a lot of products, a lot of service around the world. I was the General Commissioner of Lebanon in Expo Dubai 2020, where we met the hub of all around the world. We got the opportunity to visit the pavilion of Jordan, to visit the pavilion of United States of America, and the whole 191 countries in one country. Within 6 months, 35 startups from Lebanon in the IT technology find themselves there, and they established what we say a new business in the region. Wow. This is a success story that we can copy it in any other place. Once you have the talent, once you need to survive, and you have this loyalty toward your country, I think we believe that we can succeed. Lebanon cannot survive without the trust, without the support of the whole international community, without also the support of its diaspora around the world. You have now 5 to 6 million in Lebanon, Lebanese, included the refugees, but you have over than 7 and 8 million across the world. So I believe that they can support Lebanon. Lebanon is rich, it's not poor. It's rich, but it needs to be on the safe side, on the good track. That's why we believe that reforms will give us this power to increase our GDP that falls down from $65 million to $20 million in 2 years, to improve or to increase our employment rate. Unfortunately, 35% from the unemployed have bachelor degree, and this is catastrophic. So that's why they move or they should to work in any other place. We still consider it as unemployment rate. Okay. So that's why we believe that we can create job, because once you create job, you first of all, you cut this chain of brain drain from Lebanon. We believe that we need fresh dollars, and we count on Lebanese diaspora, but we need this talents to stay in Lebanon, because if we lost the brain of our, as you know, we were very popular, and we have a lot of our cousins who live abroad came to Lebanon to double check on yearly basis with our medicines, with our physicians. It's 5 o'clock. I believe that this is one of the big pillars, and we are proud of this. We don't need that this person leave Lebanon, but unfortunately, once they left, I believe when there is any opportunity, they will come back. To come back to this situation, we need 3 issues. On our country, we believe that reforms, IMF, give us the trust attract FDIs, you increase the employment rate, you create jobs, you stop this brain drain. This is a part the government fully responsible to implement it as soon as possible. On the other way, what we can do together. The latest statistics on trade show that the total import to the total exports from Lebanon to USA was increased from $65 million to around 125. So it means that we can also increase it. And unfortunately, it's not distributed or categorized in the same percentage in the whole states. Maybe you can find a lot of Lebanese in Michigan, for example. So it means, let's say in the market share, over than 50% from the imports. It could be, this is, we're thinking aloud, in Michigan, but we have to take the opportunity that we have 40 to 60,000 Lebanese in Phoenix to improve like this. So this product who is safe and productive and up to standards to be within the market in US. So it means it could be in Michigan, like it could be in Phoenix, like it could be in Carlo and Las Vegas and California. So let's first of all, in your presence and for sure the Global Chamber, since we have a consulate and the embassy in Lebanon, of Lebanon in US, and we have an economic attaché to do this link, because we have a lot of requests from companies from Lebanon that they need to publish their products, their services in United States. In the same time, it would be highly appreciated if we can do, like, first of all, in a team, in Zoom and hybrid, such meeting between our food importers in Lebanon, because in a win-win situation, we can even import it from United States and exports to United States. I think this ping pong email discussions, whatever, could be first highly appreciated, and I think we have to take it into consideration. This is a quick win and a smart objective to be more specific and a goal achievable at the end within a time frame. This is one. Second, in any trade show, in any conference, in any congress, where do you think that we can benefit the whole Lebanese traders are ready, like they are ready now? They're ready now, for example, to go in October to Sial. It's one of the famous trade show of in Paris. And before they were in Dubai and Arab food. This is one also, the famous one. So they have the passion also to go to United States. If there is any opportunity and you feel that there is a trade show, conference, congress, workshop, whatever you need, because we believe that B2B meeting, it's the easiest way to promote for both of us and to increase or to enhance this trade balance between both countries.
That's beautiful.
Three, first, once you took, and it's highly appreciated, to find some job creations. This is on individuals, right? We need to support our, especially Lebanese fresh graduates, but in the same time, I need your support once you can get some funds for the public administration to help us in the reforms. What do I mean by reforms? Let's say, for example, in any ministry, I'm not egoist. I don't like to support my ministry first. It doesn't make sense. Economy, it means one, that tourism is a good way. One, the industry. Once there is agriculture, once there is a good banking sector, one there is everything stable in Lebanon, it means economy are in a good side. So that's why it's not a matter for my my job, and it's not related to my ministry. But now we believe that the digital transformation play a major role, and it's a part of integrity, of reforms, of international community tasks that they needed from Lebanon. I believe that a capacity building and technical assistance to support us as ministry to start transforming our services. And let's do it like a pilot study. In some ministries, what we usually say, and we need the e-government services. Once you will go for this, I think we can decrease this distance between the whole countries. Once there is access, once we can, for example, now I'm on a process to build a platform based on 5 products: the wine, grapefruit, potato, avocado, and olive oil. For some farmers, they don't know what they have to do to export. Let's say you mentioned Baskinta. It's one of the famous village in Africa, right? With Hammana and Mount Lebanon. If, for example, they need to export apple, what do they have to do? In this platform, logistics-wise, legal-wise, they have, let's say, to establish a company, to have this pesticides restrictions, to be up to standards, based on Codex Alimentaris or ISO or whatever, and then to find a new market across the world. So that's why I believe that your technical assistance in this field, it could be, first of all, a push for this farmers, for new startups, and then once you will support us, I think it will give us the good effect in the whole economic sector. And I'm gonna be very honest with you. If there is no support to the public administration, we cannot do it. The public administration is the core of the whole administration. In parallel, I believe that also, since you are a global chamber, and I'm counting on these pioneers who are with us, the 3 persons who are believing and they're staying in Lebanon, everyone from a part of a sector. In Lebanon, you have what we say muhafazat, like a state. So from south to north and Beirut, I mean out of Beirut and Mount Lebanon, since that traditionally the capital is always in a good health if you're comparing to other states. So I believe if you can support those incubators who are in North Lebanon or Bekaa or South, if you can support some startups, if we can support them to establish what we say, this joint venture, or what we say, some bilateral agreement, we will be more than happy, because we believe that the effect of their work, it could be very positive in our economic system.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Sorry to be a little bit, but I'd like to take it in a holistic view and then to go in some details. Thank you again to give us this opportunity. I'd like, again, as my colleague, Mr. Danny mentioned, to recognize your efforts, especially the efforts of the team of our embassy in Lebanon and the team with us. Without them, maybe we couldn't get the chance to be ready as much as we. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Tomorrow you're in Tucson, right? To where? Oh, to Nogales.
Are you flying or driving?
I don't know.
Aren't you? I thought,
Arizona.
Oh, I thought they were.
Yeah.
It's a city that straddles the border.
okay. So,
It's called Amo Nogales. I think somebody there can speak Nogales a little bit better than I can. But
so
Doug, there is a question.
okay. What's your question? Please go ahead. Mr. Yusuf Gaya. Gaya.
Thank you for the invitation. حساب اللي بيحكي بالعربي شوي. بشكركم جميعا على الدعوة. I would like to extend my gratitude for the invitation. وبدي ثاني على الزملاء اللي بيحكوا اللي بدي ارجع اكرره. And I want to add to what my colleagues have said, and I don't want to repeat what they said. ولكن بدي اقول شكلي انه
أنا كغرفة تجارة أشكركم على عملكم المهم هذا جلوبال تشامبر لأنه هذا عمل كثير أساسي ومهم ونحن بنعول عليه كثير.
I myself, as a member of the Chamber of Commerce, I want to underscore and thank you for the effort you have put as the Global Chamber of Commerce.
نحن بالغرف أنشأنا مختبرات لأنه كثير بيهمنا قصة الجودة تبع البرودكتس تبعنا.
Among the things we have achieved, we created labs to focus on the quality of our products, believing that the world of a good product is.
وشكرا للUSAID وجهات المنحة اللي ساعدت لدعم المختبرات هذه.
And we would like to thank the USA, among others, who have contributed in establishing those labs.
وكمان عندنا تريننج سنتر كمان لتطوير قدرات المؤسسات الصغيرة والمتوسطة.
And we have also training centers to enhance the skills of the SMEs.
التي يقولوا انه نحن عندنا برودكتس فينا نفتخر فيه على مستوى عالمي.
Our products can be a source of pride for us on the international level.
نحن منطقتنا منطقة بتصدر ل 72 دولة.
My region, the Bekaa Valley, exports goods to 72 countries.
بعض المنتجات عندنا بتنباع نفس الفاريتي نفس النوعية. مثلا بلندن ينباع بإيطاليا العنب ب 1 باوند زيادة عن أي عنب آخر لأنه جودته كثير مهمة والنكهة تبعه 300 يوم شمس.
Because of the 300 days sun in my part, some of our products, i.e., for example, grapes in London, they are sold 1 pound extra due to the quality of our produce or our vegetables.
أنا لاحظت في بعض الأسواق الأمريكية إنه شفت البرودكتس الموجودة. بعتقد البرودكتس الموجودة بلبنان هلا يمكن إذا ما بدنا نقول مثلها يمكن أحسن.
And I noticed or I saw some products in the US supermarkets, and I can assume or say that the Lebanese products eclipse the products I have seen here in the US.
وقت تشوف هودي وقت بتذكر البرودكتس اللي عندنا بقول حرام ما يكونوا بالأسواق الأمريكية.
And I smart over the fact that not having Lebanese products here in the US market.
فكثير مهم اللي حكيوا سمعنا نحن بدنا نحافظ على الأدمغة تبعنا.
It is important what my colleagues have said, and we would like to retain the brain power we have.
لأنه ضروري يكونوا موجودين بمنطقة الشرق كثير بيساعدوا أشياء كثيرة.
And the brain power we have is a necessity in the Lebanon because they can help in many sectors.
لأنه لأعطيكم إكزامبل أنا ابني خلص MIT من 20 يوم وهلا متوجه على نيويورك ليكون عم ينجح لأنه طاقاتنا عم تكون بالخارج.
For example, my own son has graduated from MIT 20 days ago, and now he's going to New York.
Great.
Good job.
Congratulations.
Can I say something?
Yes, George has something.
Congratulations. For your son, Director General of Ministry of Economic and Trade, Mr. Muhammad Abu Haider, Director General Command of Ministry of Industry, Dr. Dan Jiddy. And just to emphasize, I met before I came, I was in Lebanon with the Director General of Agriculture, Mr. Louis Lahoud, and we established like Jam'iyyah for and regarding the cherries in Hammam, and then we are sending it to Dubai right now. Now, my question is, because yes, there is a lot of product in Lebanon, and we know maybe it's as good or as better. The question is there enough product? Like, for example, when you're talking United States, it's a big country, you know, like how much product do we have that we can export to these countries?
هنا 100% بس بدي اقول شغله انه نحن عم نصدر 95% من صادراتنا على البلدان العربيه عم نصدر على امريكا 0.67%.
100% agree with you. However, we export to 95% of our goods are exported to the Arab neighbors of the Gulf. While we have our exports to the U.S. market are only under 0.67.
But the question is, do we have enough product like cherries, like apples, that can be shipped to the United States versus the Arab country?
خذوا اللي عندنا ست رجل.
Because we can connect sometimes.
Could Dr. Nuñez say something, please?
Going to the Dallas is 2 hours and a half from here. It's going to be a great experience for you to know what is happening in the border. The Dallas, Arizona has I think the largest logistics and distribution of fresh produce in the US. Most of the produce coming from Mexico is entering this through Dallas. You are going to find grapes, table grapes. You're going to find asparagus. You're going to find apples, whatever you want. The thing is that you have to find the complementarity of the markets, the window markets, because the products from Mexico enters here in different times, competing with California or Florida or other producers here in the US. So you want to be, and it's going to take you very, very successful. They have about 100 years of doing business. So you have to find those business markets that could be used for your country, for your products. But it's going to be a great experience.
I wanted to say something, just looking at it overall. The percentage is very scary, actually, that entered the U.S. market. And from experience with the Jordanian government and how we got our products to be in the U.S., two things. One is definitely the know-how. What is required for that product to meet standard for shipping, for packaging? And I think Arizona has a lot to offer in terms of going green on 2 levels to help lower the costs so that you can also meet the price range for what's required in, let's say, I would see Lebanese products probably more in Sprouts and Trader Joe's and AJ's and building these collaborations. But one thought that crossed my mind is also electricity. How are you managing in these factories? One industry that I feel Arizona has mastered, obviously, because it's the Valley of the Sun, is solar power. And I consider Lebanon my second country. I know the climate and the geographical location for it is ideal for let's say government funded, which the U.S. does fund programs for solar power. However, it's your little counties to get it up and running for your factories, for your farmers. These are ways that collaboration, I think, can start. Even with the Global Chamber, we do have a lot of members that work in solar, right? A few, I remember.
Yeah,
yes.
That's a decent amount.
And those are the technical know-how, because you have to revive an industry altogether, but then you have all the struggles that are going on, from water shortage, from electricity shortage. And then the other thing is the products, I would say, tried and tested. I'm a foodie. Lebanese product has always been, creme de la creme. It's the branding and the packaging, I feel, that it has slowed down some of the outreach into the US market. There's just so much competition. And I think maybe a little bit of the market analysis would help get those products into that level somehow. Jordanian experience from olive oils, from maybe our export products are more industrial, but then, from reviving the farmers during the past few years, especially during the pandemic, has worked miraculously in finding similar states that have that demand. So going to local distributors and seeing where the shortage is, especially that we're seeing a lot of items missing on the shelf over here as well.
Well, we're going to need to wrap up in about 10 minutes. And so I think you have some additional point that you want to make. Do you have some additional comment that you'd like to make?
كنت سوف أتكلم الطاقة الشمسية.
I was about to talk about the solar.
Okay, please.
لأنه الطاقة الشمسية تخفض الكلفة فتساعد المنتجين على تخفيض الأسعار.
Thank you for bringing up this subject, because the solar energy lowers the overhead costs and it helps the producers to market it at a competitive price.
بالنسبة للليبلينج والقضايا نحن عم نشتغل عليها التريننج اللي عم نعملهم كواليتي كنترول وهالقضايا هيدي بتكون أفضل.
And we are working on QC and labeling to improve. Thank you.
No, one thing that's always known about Lebanon specifically is that no matter what happens, you always have the talent and the brain to figure it out. So hats off to everyone in Lebanon for enduring all those years and still being one of the top countries in its industry and its agriculture and its brain power.
Please.
بدي اسمي على الكلام اللي قاله دكتور محمد مدير عام وزارة الاقتصاد.
I wanted to add to what Dr. Muhammad said from the Ministry of Economy.
دخلته كانت لسان حالنا تقريبا جميعا كغرب.
And he spoke almost on behalf of everybody here as members of chambers of commerce, agriculture, and industry.
يعني معظم اللي كانت مدخلة هي مواضيع مشتركة تقريبا.
And it is a common ground of what we are facing or dealing with.
أكيد نحن بحاجة لبناء تحالفات واللي هي مع حضراتكم كأمريكا واللي هي إنها تكون قبل أساس.
And yes, certainly we are in need to have a partnerships with you guys here in the US. That should be our main goal.
بريد دولي كمان نحن حاطين الأعمال، نحن حاطينها بتصرف كل رواد الأعمال، كل الطلاب، أي حدا عنده فكرة جديد ينميها، نحن نحطهم نعطيهم مكاتب ونعمل لهم جدول.
In the business incubator we have in Tripoli, it is open for any and everybody, student, an entrepreneur, company, an inventor, anybody with an idea, and we welcome them and run them a space. And always have a research for college students, have a research that focuses on agribusiness sector.
من هون أنا بقول إنه يكون في شراكة مع Global Chamber باحتضان رواد الأعمال.
That being said, I'm looking to have a partnership with the Global Chamber to connect the entrepreneurs and the business incubators and every stakeholder.
طبعا نحن عندنا مشاريع كمان كبيرة حأذكرها بالأسماء مثل بناء إحراقات القمح بمرفأ طرابلس.
We have many big projects like the big wheat sites near the port, the seaport of Tripoli.
ونكون في عندنا كمان كواليتي كنترول سنتر، نحن عندنا مركز ولكن في مشروع كمان نحن حاطينه بوزارة الأشغال العامة والنقل، يكون في عندنا اختبارات بقلب المرفأ.
We would like to expand on the QC lab. We have one that is working under the auspices of the Public Works Ministry. We would like to have a bigger one within the port authority.
بسبب وجود مرفأ طرابلس، بسبب موقعه الجغرافي لمرفأ طرابلس هو قريب على الحدود السورية والعراقية والتركية.
Due to the ideal geographical position of the seaport in Turkey that is very close to the Syrian border, to Jordan, and the roads that take to Iraq.
وأكيد حيكون في إيميل مع Global Chamber
then we have to like email. We would like to exchange emails and start a chain in us.
Thank you very much. That's wonderful.
Of course, we are looking for connection with the chamber because we have connection with our members, chamber in the region, and in European countries. So we'd like to have a vision or to be members with the chamber or comfortable with the chamber, and to have counterpart between the companies, especially SME, because our focus now is how to support innovative ideas and startups and digital companies, how to grow their business. Because 95% of the economy is based on SME. And within the program implementing in chamber, especially in the South region, we have a partnership with the EU through the cross-border cooperation program, and we are supporting 11 startups. We have supported them for the establishment of formal business, and now they are starting to produce their product. We are looking for more financial assistance and how to export their products to each market. They need to do opportunities, and especially we are because of the financial crisis and inability of different countries to get loans or grants from the local authority, or we are trying to approach programs that define for loans, and we are having a model to create an equity and mutual private equity fund that can help them find the investors for their companies or joint ventures with other companies worldwide in different countries. This will be a push. They have, as I said, thousands of companies, and we have got enough training on how to promote the investment plan, the marketing plan, and so on. So they are well prepared to go abroad, not only to be consuming or promoting the product locally.
We'll be happy to work with you on that. Welcome.
Because we don't want to want them to lose the brand. We are not with the brain train. We are going to secure the young generation and the ideas to stay in Lebanon. And it's very hard during this period to incubate them and to keep them stuck to the country.
Let's work together on that. Thank you.
Something.
Yes, sir.
A few ideas. First of all, yes, we suffer from big burdens in Lebanon. When you are surrounded with Syria and Israel, you know the problems, political issues. Second, we have more than 50% of our population from refugees, with all kinds of repercussions, on our infrastructure, our economy, and etc. When we have all the pressures on our country, when we have all kinds of problems, so shortage, you have talked about shortage of electricity and water and etc. Because we don't have financial support to at least to renew all our infrastructure. So it's surprising how we survive that. Second, we don't talk about only trade. We are talking about all kinds of opportunities of maybe joint ventures, partnerships. We are talking about when we don't ask to have technical assistance. We are talking about businesses between Lebanon and maybe global chamber or whatever. So despite everything, Lebanon, we can consider it as a bridge. Despite the problems, the bridge between West and East. We have a lot of brains, we have a lot of skills. We cannot, as my colleague said, we cannot support or even encourage the brains immigration from Lebanon. So what we need is really to make mutual businesses, mutual partnerships, projects, programs, and whatever. So as a public sector, we are seeking to have such a projects, and especially as you said, man, about what we need, what is our profile. All is ready. When you want, we have it at least what is in relation with our industrial sector. So we have all kind of profiles, all kind of presentations, projects, and ideas. So we are ready to present.
Nagi, it's 3:30 in the morning there. I hope you've been able to listen and hear most of what you've heard. Do you have just a couple minute recap or other ideas that you have based on what you've heard so far?
I mean, basically the intervention of all the people, including the various ministries and the chambers of commerce, are spot on. Certainly Lebanon is in need of many things, but the easiest way is really bridging the gap, creating connections, and doing B2B agreements. And as Tina mentioned, I mean, the fact that Outerpond exists, this is a free platform that has already attracted more than $2 million of opportunities from various countries to Lebanese SMEs. And this is the easiest way to try to be practical, because going into, agreements and deals is not always easy. However, trying to find service providers that are based in Lebanon and service seekers that are based elsewhere needing outsourcing, this is, to us at least at Outerpond, this is the best way to go about it. But I believe, Doug, you've been a great supporter of Lebanon, whether through Outerpond or whether with the assistance of Tina, who is extremely knowledgeable about Lebanon. And now that you have an on-target audience, I mean, you can take it further. I do hope that your networking event will be very successful. And as you know, I mean, the partnership between Global Chamber and Outerpond is meant to grow. We do have different events, including on September 28th, regarding the ties that we can create together and the opportunities that we can create between Outerpond and Global Chamber, between our members to go forward. So that's all I wanted to mention. And thank you all for your intervention. It was a pleasure meeting you. And hopefully there will be many opportunities coming to Lebanon.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Nagi is referring to our next Global Chamber Beirut event is September 28th.
Okay.
I think it's 4 o'clock Beirut time. 4 p.m.
You will be there, or
it'll be virtual. It'll be a virtual event. So it's 6 a.m. here and 4 p.m. I think, did we agree at 6 a.m., right, Nagi?
Absolutely.
4 p.m. Okay.
Yeah.
So by the way, just a trivia question. Do you know 2 states in the U.S. have 20% of Lebanese Americans? So the 2 highest states for Lebanese Americans. Can you name them?
Well, I would guess Michigan is one of them.
Yep. Number 1, 11%.
Okay. And I don't know whether California might be another one.
Number 2 is California. Exactly right. Yeah, exactly right. So, and number 3 is probably less known, Ohio, which is probably a spillover for Michigan because it's right next.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Bert, did you have any final closing comments? Because we're going to go up to the now very important conversation in the pub upstairs.
Great pleasure. Thank you.
Kristin, did you have anything that you wanted to say?
Don't forget to explore Mexico. The richest man in the world, you can be without leave. Okay, right now.
Thank you.
We can go and we can continue if you're able to join us. Tina and Penny, if you're able to join us upstairs, if you're able to continue the conversations for a little while.
We're going to go up to the 5th floor.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Are you at the airport?
Everyone online.
Oh, where are you headed? Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Nice meeting
Thank you
you.
for coming.
Real pleasure. Thank you. Take care. And maybe also in Lebanon.
Thank you very much.
Actually going to be
Okay.
my son's great uncle, Dr. Masud Habib, is nominated for the Nobel Prize.
Thank you, Nagi. We're ending now.
Yeah, thank you. Signing off. All the best.
Thank you. Sleep well.
Bye. I'll try. Bye.
Yes.